Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners publish to inform their consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. We're doing a very special series on elder law and estate planning and speaking to experts across the country and even in your town. Joining me on this segment is Matthew Talbot. He's based in San Francisco, the Bay Area, founder of Talbot Law. Matthew, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Matthew, I know that elder law is a broad topic, so I'd love it if you would share briefly like your areas of focus on that spectrum and the types of clients that you focus on serving.
Sure. So we do estate planning here, which is sort of putting the documents together, wills, trusts. We do administration. Let's say someone's passed away and they need to have the will probated or the trust administered. And then we also do litigation. So if, dad died, he did an estate plan amendment right before he died, kind of like what you're seeing play out with Larry King right now, where you do a will at the last second. We do that. And I, in fact, have trial in Berkeley on a will matter tomorrow. And we also do Medi-Cal work, elder abuse, conservatorship. So there's quite a bit of services that we provide here.
So I know today, especially with the pandemic, it's shined a huge spotlight on the need for more knowledge in the subject area. What have you found, recently, have different, when folks reach out to you, what are the kind of challenges that they're facing, and are they sort of behind the eight ball and underinformed these days?
Well, a lot of people, unfortunately, are thinking about these types of issues. They're passing if they are unhealthy because of COVID. And so it's on the top of people's minds. I don't think they're behind the eight ball. I think that COVID has pushed people to think about things they wouldn't normally think about. I did an estate plan for someone born in 1988 yesterday, which I think is the youngest I've ever done. I've done it for people older than 88 years old. So I think these days, a lot of people want to make sure that their families are fully protected. And if something happens to them, which unfortunately it could, that there's not going to be any issues with their assets, or if they're still alive but on a ventilator or in a coma, that someone can make medical decisions for them.
So yeah, to your point, people are starting to plan a little bit younger. I think that the subject of aging obviously is like a little sensitive subject, and people may tend to put their head in the sand about it. What are some of the dangers that people face if they aren't prepared and something catastrophic might happen? What are the things that you can caution against?
Well, as an example, not to get specific, but an example would be someone comes to you and their spouse was in a terrible accident and is in a persistent vegetative state. I saw a case like this just a few weeks ago. These people were quite young. They were not 50, 60, 70, they're not even in their 40s. And this person who was in the vegetative state did not have any estate planning. So now you have to go to court to fight over a conservatorship on whether to pull the plug. And that can be a very emotional situation, devastating. So if you have the paperwork in place, you don't have to go to court. It can be avoided and everything can be handled sort of privately. Because wouldn't you rather have your family making this decision rather than a stranger in a black robe involved in those types of decisions? That's the most extreme example that I can think of right now. But even if you pass away and you don't have an estate plan in place, there can be a lot of fighting. We saw when Prince passed away several years ago, he didn't have anything put together. And people were coming out of the woodwork saying that they were Prince's long lost family member and that they needed to have a chunk of the money because he was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And I see cases like that. So the problem you have is that your money ends up going to people you never wanted it to go to, or someone who isn't in your family is making medical decisions for you. I don't think anyone listening to your show right now, Mark, would want that.
No, absolutely not. And, I know elder law is sort of a new evolution, if you will, of estate planning and that. I think the old school way of thinking seems to be like the old will and testament, that should be enough. What do you have to say about that? Because it doesn't sound like it would cover all these other areas.
I agree with that. You're right on. And if you have a will, you still have to go to court. If you have a trust, you can stay out of court. So it provides that privacy, right? Excuse me. So what you have is a circumstance where when a lot of people were just doing wills back in the day, Now it's not providing much value because you still up in court. You end up with everyone knowing what's going on. You end up with the slow court process. Okay. I'm on a case where someone filed a petition in Alameda County and it was set for January of 2022. All right. So no one wants their estate distributed on the court schedule.
Wow.
Right? COVID has really delayed a lot of counties. Berkeley is very delayed right now. And most importantly, with a will, it's sometimes difficult to set up sub-trusts for individuals who maybe have special needs, like if you have a child with Down syndrome, or if your children are under certain ages. Those types of people require special trusts, and a will often can't take care of that. And then you end up fighting in court over those types of distributions. So the trust is really the more modern and more effective way to go.
For my listeners out there that aren't really familiar with trust, they've heard the word. Can you kind of define it for us? What exactly is a trust and what does it do?
Great, I'm happy to do that. It's a really good question. So a trust is a legal entity that you give your assets to, okay? A trust never dies. A trust never gets demented. So if I were to go to the bank and say, I'm Mark Imperial, give me all of my Mark Imperial, I want my money, they would say, that's great. Let me have your driver's license to prove who you are. I couldn't produce your driver's license, Mark, and they would not give me your money. That's good. But if you were dead or incapacitated and I needed access to your money, that for good reasons, that would be problematic. So the trust takes control of the money and managers are appointed. So if Mark Imperial is demented or has passed away, you will have hopefully named a backup, and that backup just gives a copy of the death certificate to the bank and takes over. And they have complete access to the money, but they have to use it in your best interest. And if they don't, they can get sued. So that's the key difference, is that it's not owned by the person, it's owned by the entity, and the people manage the entity. I hope that was a good description. If not, I'm happy to describe it another way.
That's terrific clarification. It reminds me, it sounds like a corporation, if you will, almost
Yes.
of the person.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Matthew, you're a wealth of knowledge. What inspired you to focus on elder law and estate planning in specific? How'd you get started?
I wish I had a great story. I graduated from law school in 2006 and started practicing in 2007, which was not a great time to get a job at the beginning. Sorry, my daughter, I think, just knocked over some Legos or something. I apologize. I hope you didn't hear that.
No worries.
Probably should have closed the door before this started. But anyways, that was not a great time to get a job. And so I took this elder type of job that came along. And I honestly didn't know a lot about elder law at the time. I had taken elder law in law school, and my professor had written a movie called The Paper Chase about law school back in the day. So that was kind of interesting. But I've grown to love it quite a bit because you're on the front lines of people's lives. People come to you and you're an emotional first responder. They are sitting in your office and they're going through a catastrophic, once in a lifetime, horrific situation, whether their dad just died, or their dad just died and their brother stole the money, or their dad just died and their brother had dad change the last second, or whatever it is. Their spouse got in an accident and is in a coma. And they are looking to you so they can sleep at night. They're looking to you so they can figure out what's going on, because no one knows what to do, because people are we rarely have this sort of repeat business in this way. With the estate planning we do, but not with the elder law. And so you are given a lot of responsibility, and it's a very interesting type of field, and you are helping people go through extremely challenging things, and that's a very emotionally fulfilling, I think, for the attorneys who do it.
Matthew, for folks listening in the audience now that are in the San Francisco Bay Area or in areas of California where you serve, how can they learn more, connect with you, and perhaps work with you?
Well, I'd be happy to assist anyone, and we're always happy to help with people all up and down California now that the shackles of geography have collapsed around us since the start of the pandemic. So whether you're in San Diego and Imperial County all the way up to Modoc and Redding, we're always happy to talk to people. My office number is 925-322-8255. 1795. And the website is talbotlawpc.com. That's TALBOTLAWPC as in professionalcorporation.com. My dad had Talbot Law because he was a lawyer for 35 years, so he wouldn't give it to me. So I had to go with talbotlawpc.com. But sorry. Okay, Bonnie. Yeah.
That must make for some fun conversation with Dad.
Yes. And sorry, my daughter was curious as to what was going on. And say hi to Mark.
Hi,
Hello.
But anyways, thanks. But anyways, yeah, again, the number is 925-322-1795. And, if someone calls with a case in San Bernardino County, it may not be that we take it, but I'm always happy to at least try to provide resources for people in their area and see if I can help. We do mostly practice in the Bay Area and mostly in the East Bay because people want to find, they live in Berkeley or Oakland or Walnut Creek area, want to be able to drive to their lawyer. But we do offer virtual and phone meetings.
Matthew, you've been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your insights with my audience today. And I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much, Mark. And I really appreciate being on your show. It's very interesting. I really enjoyed being there. And I look forward to listening to more of your shows going forward.
Matthew Talbot, attorney and founder of Talbot Law, based in the San Francisco Bay Area. This segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners publish to grow their businesses, inform their consumers, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.